Yet another day, heading out to pick up the group. I'm on European time. I'm waking up around midnight, 1 a.m. I go to bed early, of course. And so I've been up since about midnight. I feel okay. But it's really odd being on a different time schedule simply because of things I got into, projects. But we'll see how my legs feel today. Get some interesting clips for you all.
On this ride, I left Northampton, rolled into the woodlands, picked up the group at the Alden Village Center. We rolled out, taking Dobbins-Huffsmith Road all the way out to Ventura on 149. All of that's on film. In past Karen, Jackson Road, 1486. Lots of action. We stopped there and we stopped the filming. Somebody had a flat, and that's where we ended the filming. We continued off camera into Dobbins, past Dobbins, Mount Moriah, 1486, Johnson Road, 149, back to Montgomery after stopping at Taco. We took Spring Branch, the historic route, back in. I pulled out of the group my right leg. I think the cleat in my shoe came loose. So Paul, myself, Mike Barreras, and a couple of other new riders, Natalia, we rode in together. It was a very pleasant day for a bike ride. I think you will love the clips we put together for you.
Hey, how are you, man?
We're at the Alden Village Center in the Woodlands, Texas.
For us to go straight on Alden Bridge, we're going to take DH, Dobbins-Huffsmith, and go 149 to Jackson. Really pretty out there. Then we'll take 1486. We'll stop at the store at Mount Moriah. Okay. And then we'll go Mount Moriah, Johnson, Bailey Grove, and stop at Taco. And then come back Spring Branch. I like to come back Spring Branch because it's not only pretty, but we're not competing with too many cars. They're not buzzing by the group like on Fish Creek, you know. So a lot of times I like the quieter ways back.
Morning, sir. Good to see you again.
Hey, dude. Yeah,
hey,
good to be back.
If,
you know, the thing about this group is there is no particular pace. If you're feeling good and you go and people want to go with you, that's fine. We'll treat it like a race. If the other group wants to ride up to you, whatever, I want everybody to have their fun. So if you're feeling strong and you want to work with the group and sit up there longer, that's good too. Whatever works for you. So everybody can enjoy. I want all levels to come to this ride. And people decide what pace to do based on what's going on with them, how they're feeling, whatever. So let's have fun. Let's be safe and stay upright. Let's do this. Let's have some fun, guys. All right.
The reason, this is Dan Jaworski in the Swiss jersey that you just saw.
all right.
The reason that I made that commentary was because I want people to know that this is fun. This is the weekend. I'm not here. I'm not going to tell anybody, oh, you only need to do 18 miles an hour, or you only need to do 22 miles an hour. That just doesn't work. What if the wind's behind you? 22 mile an hour might be easy for another person, hard for someone else.
Natalia, is this your first time with us?
Yes.
Okay. Well, enjoy.
The first time, but
Absolutely amazing.
a week for vacation.
Oh, okay.
But it's return.
Okay. Who do you usually ride with? Do you ride with the F4F or
Johnson?
Sham?
Johnson?
Oh, okay.
Natalia was the first time I'd seen her with the group. I chatted with her later on the ride. What I was saying is that I'm not going to tell anybody to slow down. The only thing I do with this group is to let them know, because sometimes you'll see later, I don't know if the camera picks it up, we get on a road that's very narrow, and then they still want to do 2 lines, and it's a busy road. So I had to like yell to let them know, hey, we need to go single file. I try to do things that will keep us from annoying the other road users. It's a nice courtesy, you know. So that's all I try to do. Safety is the paramount thing on this ride. I'm not going to tell people to slow down. You know, if somebody takes off, and that applies to you all too in your group. If somebody takes off, you decide. You know, they're not putting a knife or a gun behind your head to say you got to follow them. You let them go if you don't want to do that pace. But you might be in a mood where you want to do the pace one day, and then when they go, you go with them. And then you have splits.
You won Flanders going away, you know, up those bergs in Belgium.
So it's kind of like you have to make sure that your group is not too restrictive, because we have enough rules at work, speed limits when you drive your car and whatever else. So we don't want the group ride. The group ride is fun. You know, let people come. And you know, 1 week you might want to go with the faster guys for a little while, then drop back to the middle group or whatever else. That's what I'm trying to grow here. Our groups have been struggling in this area because they were either too fast or too slow. You probably have that same experience. You can never find the right group for you.
I spotted you.
So
get here so
I want to get more and more people coming. We get enough people, then we can have 3 speed groups. And I've already told the people who've been direct messaging me that show up at the ride. Don't tell me the ride is too fast. Come, we'll find a group for you. That's my goal. And hopefully we'll be able to achieve that.
Yeah, good. That's always a good thing.
Yeah, it is. Hey, when are you going to send a note for me to Rafa? So Rafa can send me some nice kits like you're wearing there.
Listen to you.
And look at that kit, man.
Mr. Dustman, how are you, man? Too long no see. How you been? Good.
Riding strong. It's a strong man.
Well,
So-
we already know that.
So the title of this, I came up with group cycling do's and don'ts. That's what I'm going to be pointing out, and I will explain why I don't think you should do something or why what you're doing is okay. The idea is in a lot of group rides, and I probably have mentioned it before. There are quite a few cyclists. Well, I guess there are quite a few riders that just ride, and they don't really understand because they never competed, they were never coached. They just got a bike and they started riding, and then they came and joined a group. There's quite a few riders like that. The riders who have been coached or were on a team, they know these things that I'm going to be pointing out. That's the reason I do these videos, because not everybody had the coaching avenue, so to speak, or probably didn't compete. So at least now you understand. So what happens in a group ride when you're in a line and someone's pulling? Let's say someone pulling at 18 miles an hour, and let's say they do it for like 2-3 minutes and they pull off. Try to do the similar effort. Don't make a big surge. Now, you guys have probably seen this right here where people are attacking and doing whatever. That's different when people are playing or whatever. But the idea here is, even in racing, if you're in a breakaway, a certain number of riders, you watch the pros, is the same thing. If you start to attack your breakaway partners, they will not work with you anymore.
Good morning.
They're not going to come and pull if you're going to attack them when they're done pulling. It's the same thing in the group. The group would make more time if you guys keep it fast and steady versus
This is where I stop.
raising the pace.
You can have the front.
That's Doug. Doug is the guy on the left in the orange bike. Doug is the guy who I saw with the Garmin radar and the mirror on his bike at the same time. I got the idea to try that, and I really like that combination. So you will see in a few, well, not a few kilometers, maybe about 10 kilometers, about 6 miles, there would be a guy
There we
pulling,
go.
and he would literally just ride off the front. Don't do that, because it wasn't an attack. But as the road was going up, he increased the wattage. He increased the effort so much that the guy on his wheel had to let the gap open. Basically, it was just so hard for the guy on his wheel. So when you're riding with people, be cognizant of your effort. Keep your eye on that wheel. Look back periodically. You don't get a pat on the back if you disrupt the train, so to speak. And I will explain in detail later.
So I needed to keep up with you guys. I mean, just,
Should we be concerned?
no, I just think I needed to.
I am worried when I see that collar under you.
I think I better come equipped so I can keep up.
Abby on the left here is one of these guys. Every group
I
has
know we
one.
stand a chance.
Abby talks about, how can I say, fluffy stuff, meaning non-tangible stuff. I call him the BS man. You heard him say to Paul, "Oh, I'm trying to keep up with you guys." Yeah, right. Like he can't keep up with us. It's like he says stuff, but it's not meaningful. You know, it's just, it's what I call shallow conversation. I'm not wired like that. If I open my mouth, I mean what I'm saying, or I just keep quiet. But that's me. We're all different. So he has a lot of sarcasm, and you're not sure if he's joking or he's being real.
What did you do with Laura?
So a lot of times I just tune him out.
What did you do with Laura? Where is she?
The pirate is not
I can't keep up
here.
with you Romeo folks, man. I can't keep up with the Romeo folks. Some of you are smoking herb.
In a little bit, I'm going to drift back. Just a little bit. I think Dan Jaworski is going to go up to talk to Doug. So I'm just going to drift back so he and Doug can talk. I may have already done that, but I'm up ahead. In our area, we have quite a few people that just sit in the back. You know, you stop at the light,
You gotta tell your
and they act like they're having trouble clipping in. They play all these games to stay behind. I don't like sitting behind because a lot of times it's not that easy back there anyway.
On Tuesday.
It's kind of like
She went to California.
you need to make sure that you hold your position in the line. If you're moving up through the line and you get in second position or first position, just pull off if you don't want to pull. You don't need to be playing all these games to keep sliding to the back. It's not necessary. And in about probably 20 kilometers, about 16 miles, you will see me wave people up. Nobody wants to come through. So we end up with a group of 18 riders and only 3 to 5 people are pulling. Then late in the ride, they want to sprint. Nobody's going to pull you to the finish line in a race. They will attack you. You will watch the race go up the road. You don't need to be afraid of the front when you're in the group. Sit in there, hold your position, move through. When you get to the front, get off. As you get closer to the front, the harder it is, the lower you need to get so you get a good draft. And then once you get there, when the person pulls up, you can pull up immediately in front of that person. Just kind of go through the line. Nobody's going to complain. But you don't need to be, it takes a lot of energy to be coming up with a ruse to act like, oh, I'm having trouble clipping in, so you end up falling back at every intersection. I don't have time for that. I just ride. So you don't need to be doing that. This road is quiet, so even though it's 2 lanes, it's not a busy road. We're riding in people's subdivisions. In fact, several of the riders live out here. I believe Doug lives right off of this street. It's Saturday morning. It's not busy, so we're doing 2 abreast, and it's okay. We'll get a few cars that will go by. But then later on, we're going to get on a road called Dobbins-Huffsmith, which has a slightly higher volume. And that's where I try to tell them, let's do single file. But I had to say it so many times they act like they can't hear. And why do I have to say it? I wonder, do they not ride when they're not in the group? When I'm riding by myself, no one has to tell me single file. It's a nice courtesy. You have to coexist. Other people are going places. you are riding your bike, the roads are not closed for you. There are other people going places. So since you're slower traffic, you don't want to impede traffic unnecessarily. There are times when you have to take the road for safety, but when it's clear and it's safe, let the other road users by so they can go about their business. They will appreciate it. So I'm in the top third of the group. I missed a lot of training, I believe, December, January. I'm not doing that this year because my schedule is more stable. I'm going to be riding throughout the winter. And they want to go fast in the winter, I will be there. I'm going to be riding because now I'm getting in better condition. It took a while. It took several months to get back to where my level was because I had a lot of disruptions, just stuff coming up that I needed to deal with. And so back in the day when we competed, you would take off during the winter. I'm not competing, so I'm just going to ride. But I don't ride hard all the time, so I may just ride hard twice a week. And the rest of the time, just continue to build my aerobic capacity. I didn't realize the group was this large. This is a good turnout. We'll end up, by this time, if you've seen my video about what is an upgrade, that video was inspired by some people that we ride with. We have 2 members in this group right now. They're here today. I'm not going to point them out. Doesn't matter. It's the process you want to pay attention to. They bought 2 of the most expensive carbon bikes out there. And for the last several months, they've been having flats every week, repeatedly. Now, it's not because of the bike. Obviously, there's a problem with the wheel set. You know, on the ride, they're having multiple flats. So everybody was talking about it. There will be a flat on this ride, and that's when we end the filming. Because we're standing on the side of the road waiting for them. When I go on a ride, unless you A, one of my customers, B, somebody I'm tight with, when you have a flat, I'm off. I'm not working that day. And plus, you're not paying me. I don't want to get my hands dirty because a lot of riders don't clean their drivetrain. So when I wear my nice kit to go ride, I ain't touching nobody's dirty bike. So you better learn how to do your own flat. So I don't go anywhere near that. You know, if Paulie Lunga or Laura have a flat, yeah, I'll be all over because I know they keep their machines clean. It's easier to work. Got a nice line going here. Paul's got the camera up. This is a view. He was mentioning that to me. It's a good view. So we have a couple of riders that have upgraded, got newer bikes, fancy wheels, and every ride they got 2-3 flats. And they fix the flat and it blows again. So something's going on with the rim. The rim has a defect or something. And what blows my mind is, what's the delay in taking that crappy wheel set back and getting a better one, or getting them to get you a replacement? Why are you dealing? You spend good money. You didn't beg for the bike. You spent your hard-earned money on it. The shop needs to replace those wheels. You shouldn't be dealing with that nonsense. So you come on a ride. So everybody, I was not aware of it, but then Abby mentioned that, oh yeah, they're always having flats since they got these bikes and blah, blah, blah. So, well, you have a defective set of wheels. There's something in there causing these punctures. It could be maybe the spoke is poking through. Who knows? It could be any number of things. Take it to a shop that you bought it from and let the mechanic sort it out and give you something that won't be having these repeated flats. You shouldn't be having flats on every ride. And the flats are not being caused by external stuff. It's the rim, the wheel set. Something in there is puncturing their tubes. I buy something and it's not living up to it. I want my money back. take your precious time to make money, you need to enjoy the stuff you spend it on. So yeah, needless to say, when I'm buying stuff, I always read the warranty and all that stuff that's involved, because I take advantage of that. I'm not going to be wasting time behind it. So we'll see how long they continue to live with that. It's been going on for a while. I heard everybody talking about it. I don't do a lot of group rides, so I'm not familiar with their issues. That's another reason I don't do a lot of group rides during the week. I don't have time to waste during the week to wait for someone else's mechanical. I just want to ride and go do other things with the day. During the week, my schedule's tight. When I stop, I always lean my bike so I can put my foot down flat if I'm going to remain on the saddle. So we are through the Woodlands, Texas here. We're headed southwest. There is no power reading on this video, and thankfully this software is smart enough to exclude it without me having to change the layout. I mentioned it in the video about upgrades where I'm riding the Shimano 7810 pedals, and man, I love them. They're just solid. So I didn't put the power meter on. I just wanted to see. I will use it in the future just for this ride. I was testing those pedals. I got them up on eBay, and the guy gives 30 days to where you can return it. So I wanted to make sure they function. So as soon as they came in, I put them on. So I have two sets from two different sellers that had reasonable prices. For the rest of them, I saw some guy listing one for almost $500. I mean, it looked like in mint condition, like it was never used, but still, it's not worth that. I got those from somewhere in Asia, I believe. One came from Japan and one came from Shanghai, from a seller who was selling them used. They're good copies. Got a few scuffs, but who cares? But they're in good condition. I didn't need to overhaul them or anything. They're easy to overhaul. You can work on them. Take things apart, if you've ever worked on pedals. You just need the pedal removal tool for the to access the bearing, remove the body. It's a small wrench specifically for the Shimano pedal. Somebody put on the channel after I released the video about upgrades that there is a pedal like Campagnolo has. It's probably also metal. I'm going to look into that. He said he got it off of eBay. We're turning here. This road is called May Valley. We're leaving the Woodlands. There's a little bit of a bump in the distance. I want you to keep your eye on my RPMs. In this ride, I was really on top of the gears. We're climbing, I don't know what the percent is, 3%. It's a short bump, but my cadence throughout the ride is high.
You're not home yet. Not home.
So that's Natalia on the left. This is the first time we've ridden with her. At this point, I've already introduced myself to her, and she asked me whether there were other ladies that rode with us. I told her, yeah, we've had up to 4 ladies. And I told her that Laura is usually here all the time. But we learned, as you heard, Laura is in California visiting. The pirate. This group has gotten very fast, and how can I put it? It had nothing to do with anything I did. It's gotten fast because we're attracting riders from all levels, and that happens when you don't try to tell people what speed to do, and you kill the joy. This is Saturday. Everybody's off of work. The only rule is be safe, get home to your family. That's it. So people like coming to this group. And when I post our ride on our forum, Abby will take the ride, put it on Romeo, and then sometimes he'll put it on another group's board called Friends of Friends. And I don't mind whoever wants to come, because the more the merrier. Cyclists have to learn that you don't have to follow everyone. Pick the tempo you're in the mood for that day for that ride. That's how you improve. Stay within yourself. Stay at your level. And then, if you want to push yourself, you could try going with a faster group for a bit, but knowing that someone's back there to catch you if you fall off the pace. That's what it's about. That's what I'm hoping to do. So I take the time, I build the route. Every week, I load it up there. I share it. Garmin has this group feature on the 1049. They updated the software and they got the 1050 out. I don't really use that because I don't want to spend too much time trying to figure out tech. I just want to ride. Got enough stuff on the bike already. So we have pressed the corner and the light turns green. So look at my cadence. I'm in a very mild gear, just revving it. That's what you want to do to save your legs, especially early in the ride. We just started riding. So we're back on that road. We're doing 2 abreast. I introduced myself to Natalia. There was nobody else that I really was not familiar with. There's another guy with her, but I don't think he speaks any English because she was speaking to him in Spanish. So I just kind of waved at him, and that was it. I'm done talking. When we start riding, I want to just ride. So we're going to turn here. We're getting out of town now. We're going to get on a road called Dobbins-Huffsmith in about maybe 2 kilometers. We'll get on that road. And the guys at the front act like they've never been on a narrow road before. They're still doing 2 abreast. You can't do 2 abreast on that road. It's just too busy. Like a road like this, we're going to do single file. As you can see, everybody's kind of filing. And this is an off-camber turn. I've seen a Porsche slide off this road in the rain. It's turned to the left. I mean, it's banked to the right so the water can run off. It really should have been banked to the left, like in a velodrome. So it's off camber, so to speak. And if you're driving a car, you come through there, you see they scrape the corner. In the rain, it's slick. They had to do that because this area here, when it rains, they didn't want the water in that curve. They wanted it to run off. So they banked the road in the wrong direction, so to speak. Most of our roads are banked to where it slows you down. You know what I mean, like the velodrome. So we call those like off-camber turns. And so even on the bicycle, it's tricky. You got to take your line. So I'll go inside and I keep my bike as straight as I can. So we're riding mostly around 22, 23 miles an hour. And this is the pace that this group will do. And then from there, we go even faster, periodically. So if you sit in, right now I'm right at zone 2. This road is kind of a grade, say 0.3. You feel it and you can see it visually. So you want to just find your rhythm and sit in. So all I'm doing is I'm sitting in now. We're doing 2 abreast here. Yeah, we're not going to be on it very long. We're going to be turning a little bit. We really should be single file. Once we get out of town and we get on the open road, so to speak, I'm done talking. I'm ready to ride. There's nothing that important to be talking about. So we're going to be turning right. And then we turn and people want to continue 2 abreast. And they've been on this road before. They've been on the road that we're going to turn on. The road we're going to turn on is even busier. Not in terms of volume. The speeds are higher. You're really out of town. These are very rural roads. It's good to see here that we're kind of single file in here. So we're going to be turning at the light. We're turning right to go north. This is called Dobbins-Huffsmith Road. It takes you to Dobbins, basically, from Huffsmith. It goes all the way south behind us. We're going north. So we turn on this road. We never do two abreast here. These guys have been on this road before. They're acting like they have amnesia. So Abby pulled off. I guess he was pulling. And we need to go single file. I don't know what the delay is. So I start to tell them I'm up there. And I'm telling them, and they act like they don't hear me. So I had to yell and say, look, let the other people know to go single file.
Good job, my brother. I saw you pulling.
So we're moving about 20 miles an hour. I've already told them a couple of times, go single file, go single file. They act like they don't hear me, so I'm going to ride up and I'm going to let them know. And then, what's his name? Dan Jaworski gave me a thumbs up.
It smells good.
Thank you, man.
That's nice. I need to take your wife.
So I'm going to let them know, yeah, now they're going single file. I had to tell them a minimum of 5 or 6 times. That is BS. These guys ride all the time. They need to know that. And I just find that annoying. They act like they don't. They know it. Just because they're in the group, they think they can just relax. And I say that. So in a group, you're not... You should not be doing stuff that you don't necessarily do when you're by yourself just because there's more cyclists around. Because that's when stuff happens. But cyclists have a tendency to get careless when they're in a group. Don't do that. You need to be even more vigilant. So this road is a slight grade. It will level off a little bit. Right now it's like a false flat. And it will level off. But this entire stretch, we're out of town. This is when we're riding. There ain't no more chatting. The chatting's over. There's nothing to talk about. Put your head down and ride. When you get to the store, you can chat with whoever you want to chat with. But during a group like this, when people are riding, I don't want to talk to anybody. So when I'm riding, people start talking, I just ignore them. I act like I don't hear them. I don't need to multitask. I need to watch potholes, the wheel in front of me, any dog that might be coming, cars. That's too much stuff to keep up with. I don't need to be talking to you. You want to talk, we can sit at a cafe and talk. Now's the time to ride. We had a warm-up. All the talking should have been done there. And, Paul had to tell several people, I don't want to talk right now. He told Abby one time, don't talk to me. And so later on, Abby said, can I talk to you now? And then we all laughed. There's nothing, especially when I'm working, I can talk, but it's a distraction. It breaks my rhythm. I need to stay smooth. I need to be predictable for the riders behind me. I don't need to be distracted. Get enough of that crap when we're driving our cars. People want to be looking at phones and all that foolishness. So when you're in the group, focus on paying attention to the wheel in front of you. We have a lot of riders that will be glancing back. And I always tell them, I don't know why you're looking back here. The danger is in front of you. The wheel in front of you is what's going to take you down. Don't be looking around too much. There's no reason to look behind. You need to pay attention to that wheel in front. If you must look behind, stay. You see the distance Barrera is giving that guy? Stay off the wheel and then you can look behind. Because at least you got some room. But when you're on that wheel tightly, that's all you need to be paying attention to. I don't look directly at the wheel. I've cycled long enough to know how close my wheel is just by the proximity of the rider's body. So I don't look at the wheel. I glance at the whole area, but I can tell based on where their body is, how close I'm following. And I make sure I don't overlap. So I'm not reacting. But all of that requires your focus. And that's why I love the iPhone. They have that focus thing on there. I have it on all the time. If I'm in my car, somebody send me a text, it lets them know. I don't even get it. It lets them know. I'm driving now, whatever it is, I'll get to you when I get where I'm going. When I was growing up, I didn't even have a phone. Somehow I survived. It's not a need. Nobody needs to be reached 24 hours a day. It's not necessary. So pay attention when you're in the group. When people are horseplaying in the group, be even more vigilant. That's when the crashes happen. When you're riding really hard, it's actually safer because everybody is focused. When they start messing around, that's when falls happen. So when they start messing around, give them plenty of room. They're clowning around, that's when people fall. And a lot of riders, when people are clowning around too much, they will go to the front and force the pace and make everybody focus. So we're riding at almost 40K. I'm right at the top of my zone 2. The reason I'm mentioning that is when you ride and build your aerobic zone, you'll be able to go faster in your aerobic zone. If I'm out of shape, I'm not going to be riding at 25, 26 in zone 2. I'm going to probably be in zone 4. So this stuff that they're talking about building an aerobic base, that's what it's for. Because think about it. If you just sat on the couch for 5 months and then get up to go do 25, 26 miles an hour, you will be sweating and breathing so hard you won't be able to hold it very long. But when you fit, you will be able to go fast in your aerobic zone before you start tapping into ATP and the other stuff the other fuel sources that you need when you start going into the anaerobic zones. And it takes more work to get you anaerobic. So with this entire time, I'm in zone 2. And all I do is I monitor it, and I can tell by my breathing when, it goes. Now, it's going to vary. 150 right now on this day, I was feeling great. I had good rest, whatever. Another day, if you get up tired, 150 might feel like 160. So it all varies with your condition and how you feel, how much rest you've gotten. That's Abby. And how much rest you've gotten, that matters. So Abby's always making light conversation. He's more of we tease him all the time. He's more like a comedian type. We were looking at something on my bike at the stop off camera, and he says, "You guys need a mechanic," knowing that I'm a mechanic. I just ignored him. I don't have time for that. We weren't looking at anything mechanical. It was something cosmetic. I don't know. Most of you are probably not aware. My bike is wrapped completely with those clear bras. They call them Invisa Shield. I got it from a company called Expel in San Antonio, Texas. I used to put them on my car and so forth. They protect the paint. I had just removed a layer and replaced it after 9 years because it had gotten scuffed up, but it did its job. The paint on my bike is pristine, especially on the top tube. You get a lot of rocks when you're riding next to riders and they go over pebbles, it gets flipped, and our top tube take a lot of beating. So my top tube is wrapped with that, they call it 8mm Invisa Shield or whatever, paint protection film. It's clear. Once it dries, it's like a window film. You can't see it. And you can wax it or whatever. It's not the one that goes yellow on you. It's a high quality one, so they last. I had just put a copy on there, and what I do is I do a little extra layer. I leave some excess, so once it settles, I can cut it neatly and lay it down. And that's what Paul and I were looking at. The Abby says, "You all need a mechanic?" He thinks he's Jerry Seinfeld. And you can see we're moving. This group is fast. Now, I don't know if the camera will pick it up. Somewhere here, a rider gets gapped. I think he's in second position. But I fault the rider who's pulling. He's pulling so hard, he gaps the rider, but he's not really attacking. It's happening now, I believe. You can see us up the road. I have to do like a big turn to ride up to them. And then the guy who gets gapped does a big turn to come back, and I'm thinking, why didn't you just stay on that guy's wheel? So I don't know. Anyway, that's what I mean. These guys don't know how to ride together. There's a lot people need to learn. I don't know if it's already I believe it has, because I think Dan is pulling now. Yeah, it's already happened. I think this is where I end up bridging over. I end up riding over to them because they gapped us. Yeah, this is where I'm pulling through and going all the way over. Now he pulls off. So he just gapped the guy and then he pulls off. So if that's what you were doing, why did you gap the guy? And throughout the ride, he was doing stuff like that. Like we'd be riding along and then he would just take off. And we all just ignored him. It was like they got their own ride within the ride. So no, if you're gonna ride with a group, ride with the group. You're not impressing anybody by doing stuff that doesn't make sense, because if you were competing, because they see this stuff, they watch a few races, they don't really understand what those riders are doing, and they try to come out here and just do stuff. Oh, I feel strong, I'm gonna go. Well, it's not sustainable. That's why he pulled off. But why do an effort that's not sustainable if it causes your train? Look at us. We're like a train. Imagine if you were on a train with cars that are coupled together. Would you detach? Would you detach the engine where the locomotive is? No, you wouldn't. Because if you did, you'd have nowhere else to go. The cars wouldn't be together. So when you are pulling the group and you cause gaps to happen, it's the effect of like you're decoupling the cars in a train. So he gapped the guy, now he's going back to the back of the group that he just disrupted. So when you ride with your group, ride with the group. Don't be surging when someone else pulls off. Even if somebody else does that, let them do that. It's a different thing when you're launching attacks versus surging when it's your turn to pull. When it's your turn to pull, do the same effort. Keep the train moving. So because of all of that, you can see my heart rate is 162 now. Because I've been riding, so I'm fairly fit. But I bet you it was higher than that when I bridged up. But I had to waste energy to close that gap. That's inefficient. So that means if everybody has to waste energy to close these gaps that are being opened by other riders, when they get to the front, they've used up a bunch of their gas, so to speak. So you're hurting the group when you do stuff like that. Because then when the other members of the train come through, their tank is a little less full, so to speak. I hope this makes sense. There are some groups out there that are very restrictive, and they don't play with that. They'll tell you something. They'll tell you, hey man, that's not how we're riding. There are people that will say that, even around here. I mean, not the group I ride with, but throughout my cycling career, I've heard people make it clear, we're not doing that today. I just don't do it on this ride because this group here, anything goes and you just make your decision. I know what I'm working on. So I was feeling good. I'm just sitting in, the pace is reasonable, but I had wasted energy back there unnecessarily. That's what I want to point out. When those things happen, it's a waste of resources. So if you're doing a century, it's better to ride at 23 or 24 than to do 27 for 2 minutes and then the group breaks up. Hold a sustainable, steady pace. It's more efficient. Everybody gets a rhythm. But every time in this area here we get a 1 or 2% climb, these guys act like they're climbing Alpe d'Huez. I have those the 7810 pedals on, and I enjoyed them on this ride. They just felt so solid. They keep going, moving everything to carbon, and it just doesn't last. The Dura Ace pedals fail after 3 months. They feel like you're stepping on a mushroom. That's Dan Jaworski. Dan, I think Mike wanted to give him a fist pump. Dan was not paying attention to that. Dan is very sensitive to the sun, so Dan wears a lot of sunblock, and Dan perspires like crazy because it wasn't very hot today. And when we stopped at the store, he was wet, and he said, "Yeah, he sweats a lot." There are a few riders. Another guy named Mike Weingrad, he sweats a lot too. It was somebody else. Some of these guys, you be behind them, it feels like it's raining. But I was very, very pleasantly surprised at how my body felt on this day, because I just have not been on a regular program because of life, you know, just busy with other stuff. So it's kind of nice to know that I kept my discipline. That's the key, though. And so I know it's nice to have it reinforced. I didn't do anything hard for like 4 days or so, but I just rode. And sure enough, when it's time to go fast, your body remembers. Abby says that stuff throughout the ride. He says that to me, I answer once. That's it. The rest of the time, I ignore him.
Crazy, man.
He's wearing Rafa. He's telling Paul to tell Rafa to send him some kit, please. Rafa didn't send us nothing. It's like Rafa has moved the operations back to the UK. They used to have like a shipping warehouse in Tennessee, Memphis somewhere, and they shut that down. I guess they're trying to keep that cost down. We've got our team kit coming. I will be reviewing. I'm going to review the PMC jersey first, because that's what we're mirroring the team kit after. Review it and show you guys on the channel why I like the jersey. I'm wearing a copy of the PMC jersey from a year ago, from the archive, that pink jersey. See how it fits my body? I stopped because the cars were coming. I don't like to turn on, even if I'm turning onto the shoulder like those two did. I don't like to do that when cars are coming, because the driver doesn't know you're going to use the shoulder. And this road, look at those ridges. We don't ride on the shoulder. So we should have just stopped. And so the two of them got to go, and then Paul Ilonga is here. So in a little bit, I'm going to come around. You'll see Paul flip the camera. So when you're with your group, you got 10, 5, 7 people behind you. In that situation, stop. Let the cars go, and then you guys go. Because you end up startling the drivers, and they look at you guys like, they get frustrated with you. Nobody wants to hit you. But they're not in your head to know what you're going to do. In your car, you wouldn't just turn onto the road. You would stop. Well, do the same thing with your bike. So when I'm riding, even if that shoulder was rideable, when I'm riding by myself, I stop when the cars are coming. I wait until they pass, then I get on the shoulder. Because as far as I know, he or she does not know I'm going to be turning onto the shoulder. I don't want to turn in front of the car, even if I'm turning onto the shoulder. I don't think that's cool. Because that driver has to react. Because he's not sure, is this person turning in front of me? And Paul flipped the camera, so I go ahead and get in front of Paul. Because that's where I was. I want to take my cuts in the line. But because I stopped for the traffic back there, I lost my spot. So don't do that. Don't turn in front of cars, even if you're turning onto the shoulder. They don't know. Stop. Let them go. Because you're supposed to stop. There was a stop sign there. It was not a suggestion. It was a stop sign for us. And if you ride like that, then all the other road users will take all of us seriously. I don't know if you can tell I'm enjoying this pace, guys and girls. I'm just sitting on there. I'm just really enjoying this pace. What I'm thinking about this moment is like, man, this feels good. This is fast. It says 164. It feels like 10 beats less. That means I've gotten enough rest. You know, my stress level is low. All of that matters. I wish they could make a power meter pedal that feels like the 7810, because I really love it. I'm getting lower and lower. As they go harder and harder, I get lower and lower. What is happening is, you will see when I start to pull, when I take over in about probably 5 kilometers or so. A lot of riders, when the road goes up, they push harder. You don't need to do the same speed you were doing when the road was flat. But you can do the same effort or close to it. There's a difference. They're trying to hold the same speed when the road goes up. Well, this is like a 1% climb, so it's not that big a deal. But look, you see the gap opening? He's forcing the pace up there. This guy's having to stand. Now, the reason I'm on the right That black asphalt you see there, they covered a crack. I don't want to ride in it because it's rough. There are cracks that they covered. They didn't want the road to continue to separate. So I'm going to either stay to the right of it or to the left of it. Since he moved left, I moved to the right because I want to see. The guy in the front always does that. Every time the road goes up, he starts to spin like a hamster, like he's racing somebody, and it just ends up stretching out the group. So we have a lot of people that don't like that, so they just don't come to our rides. So he moved to the right, I moved to the left. I want to see around him, and I'm not riding on that asphalt. Because if the tires are not very, I was pointing out a bump to Paul. The tires on my bike are 25 millimeters. Thankfully so, because it has to be a nice wide hole for it to get in there. But back in the day when we rode 23s and stuff like that, you could get your tire trapped in some of these cracks. The cracks are not very visible, and they're not extensive. They're pieces of cracks because they've poured asphalt, almost like thick asphalt in there. They did it a long time ago. So now we're done. We've done up in that area. So now, all of them know that when we ride on this road, on this stretch, we have a shoulder. Look at it. Look how beautiful that shoulder is. I'm going to get on the shoulder. I don't give a crap what he's doing. He's ridden out here before many times. I let him sit out there. I don't say a word to him. We got through the intersection. I'm going to move and get on the shoulder because this road is too busy to be sitting out there like you don't know to have a shoulder. I don't need the draft. I'm just holding my pace. I just sit there. Let him sit on the road. These guys ride here all the time. They're not new. They're not strangers. I'm tired of babysitting people that should know better. Now he looked behind and saw me on the shoulder, then he moved over. That's why drivers get annoyed. If the shoulder is there, use it. You're more predictable. They know where you are, then they can plan and come by. Instead of them guessing, okay, what is the cyclist doing? Even if it's just you, be predictable. Find a spot and hold it. You wouldn't walk in the middle of the road, so if the shoulder's there, use that. You slower moving traffic. I just moved over and kept the same pace he was holding. I don't need the draft. I don't know if the camera would pick it up, but I noticed as I follow him, you see my body, I'm putting more force. I don't have the power meter, but you can see my heart rate going up. He's forcing the pace. This is a 2.6% bump, and he's forcing the pace. We're doing almost 24 miles an hour. I'm going to get up to his wheel, and I'm going to get very low so I can just save energy, because I'm watching his body language, and he is turning himself inside out. I don't know why, but he always rides like that. He'll ride till he empties the tank. Every time he takes a pull. One day I had to tell him, tranquilo, and he acted like he didn't know what I meant, or he didn't hear me. So I don't say anything anymore. He'll figure it out. So when he's done, I'm not going to let the pace drop. So he's not going to get the rest. And there will be another guy who will do something similar in the climbs. You will see that again. That's all you have to do. Speak with your legs. I think in a little while, I get in the drops after I take the lead. But he's scooting all over his saddle. He's pushing back. You can't see it, but I'm watching his hips rock. He's like he's looking for power. Shoulders are moving, all of that. That means the gear is too heavy in these conditions. I just stayed near 90 RPMs. I carry 11 gears. I try to use most of them. That's why I don't want another cog to carry. I don't use the 11 that I have. I don't need another one. They need to improve the quality of the material. They keep coming up with new stuff. 12, 13. I need all that stuff, please. I ride a 9-speed. I probably use five gears. Between, I'm talking about big chainring, small chainring. In the back, I probably use 5 gears. I go from probably the 19 to maybe the 16, small or big. When we're climbing, I put it on a small chainring because I've got an 1123 on this wheel set, and I got a 39 in the front. It's not easy. We're going into the wind. This road is a slight grade. I'm going to feel him starting to slow down. He will slow down, and then he finally decides to get off the front. And as you can see, I can do this pace forever. I didn't realize my body was going to feel this good. But at this point, I'm just staying in it. I'm very close to him. I'm about 2 inches off his wheel, if that. Because even though he's turning himself inside out, he's not all over the road. You can see he's pretty straight, so he's easy to follow. He really needs to be lower. Yeah, now he's done. He tapped himself out. I just kept the effort the same. And that's the way you're supposed to pull. Keep the train moving. You can see the speed has not changed. When the speed changes, because the road will change. I'm keeping the same effort. Look at my heart rate. 166, 167. That's where it was when I was behind. I'm keeping the same effort. I'm going to take a drink here. And Paul knows, this is how Paul and I ride. Paul knows. When Paul and I are riding, even with the group, it's like I can read his mind. Everything I do, he knows why I'm doing it. But we've talked about it a million times. He knows. He knows what I'm doing. I'm keeping the train moving. This is not about, oh, how fast you are, blah, blah, blah. No. Some guy on Strava, I heard from Paul, sent Paul a direct message saying that, oh, you must be really fast because your average speed, I guess he was looking at average speed. He said your average speed is faster than Elder's average speed, so you must be really fast. Average speed means bupkas. That's what I try to tell people. I may make a video about that. I think I've already addressed it. But anyway, he's not anybody I know. But Paul educated him. Forget about average speed, guys. When I get up in the morning and I'm riding to the group from my house, I don't even look at that computer. I just get up and I know it takes me 35 minutes or so to ride there. I warm up nicely. You can see I'm riding at 40K. It's a slight downhill. It's almost flat. I got lower to cheat the wind a little bit. If you're riding your bike and you can't use the drops and stuff like that, check your fit. You should be able to use all locations on your bars. Okay, so I've got myself nice and low, getting some free speed. The speed's gonna go down because this road is gonna go up. I'm not going to increase the effort. I'm just gonna keep it the same. Anyway, what I was saying was, stop looking at average speed to judge somebody's fitness, because I warm up, say, at 15 miles an hour. I warm down maybe 13, 14 miles an hour. Maybe. I don't even pay attention to it. I just warm down. I'm recuperating. That all adds up into, the group might do 19. And so when I get home, my overall that you see on the route map is lower because of that. But who cares? What matters is when the group is doing 46 kilometers an hour and you choose to go with them, how you feel, how you ride, are you pedaling squares? That's what they mean when they say my form is here. If you are not pedaling squares when you're going very hard, your form is good. That's what the Europeans mean when they say I'm waiting for my form to come in, meaning I'm waiting for my body to get used to operating at these higher intensities. You do that in the middle of the ride and you have a high average speed and then you warm down. Who cares? Now, if you just did an event and you stopped at the end, that's why the pros in the races will stop their computer when they cross the line. That is a representative thing for the average speed, but it's not really just their speed, it's the speed of the whole peloton too, because they were with the peloton most of the way. So it's the group speed. So the average speed with these guys is the group speed. I don't consider it to be my speed. My speed is when I ride alone, maybe a time trial, and it's just me. Then that's my speed. So don't take credit for the group speed. It's different. We're approaching the intersection here. and I'm going to try to get off the front, but nobody wants to come. And you will hear Paul and I talking about it. The intersection has a lot of cars. Well, not a lot. I mean, there's people there. So watch me communicate with them. So I let the group know we're stopping. I unclip and I wave that car to the right. Once he goes, I'm gonna block Mr. Man in the red, and I'm trying to wave them up. Nobody wants to come, so that he knows. So I'm just kind of standing softly. I'm not really going hard. I was hoping. That's why you see me looking back. I'm like, where are you guys? I wanted someone to come through. Nobody wants to come through. So
slow your pace down, my brother.
So Paul tells me to slow down so they can come around.
There we go. I said just
so
slow
that's
your pace
Roy.
down and let them leave.
What he's telling me is quite a few of the riders just sit at the back.
Oh,
Yeah.
I got you.
Okay. So he said slow your pace
they
down
just
so
wanna
they can
sit.
come.
Anybody wants to go fast, go ahead.
So now, what Mike is saying is, if anybody wants to go fast, go ahead. I'm not sure what that was about, but Mike is saying, Mike is saying, he tells me later that he doesn't want to go over 400 watts. Well, I didn't know that. That's his plan. But anyway, that's his plan. These guys ride the same way they ride. They're not doing the periodization stuff. And neither am I, because I'm not competing anymore. I just ride. I'm just riding. So Mike is saying they want to go fast. He wants to stay on the 400, but he ends up changing throughout the ride, doing different things anyway. So it doesn't matter. Anyway, in a little bit, he's gonna go to the front to intentionally slow the group down, kind of like blocking in a race. And they're gonna go around and he's be like, go. So when we go by, I told him, I said, we're only going 19 miles an hour. We weren't going that fast at that moment anyway.
They want to become a Superman.
It means nothing. That means nothing. In a race, nobody's gonna pull you to the line.
What Paul says is they sit in, and at the end of the ride, they want to be Superman, meaning they sit in for 80 kilometers, they want to sprint for a city limit sign. That does not make you a strong rider, because if all you do is sit in the bunch, and your effort is going to be low if you're sitting in a bunch the whole ride. In competition, no one's going to tow you to the line. You will be attacked. You will watch the race go up the road. If you're not able to put your nose in the wind, at some point you're going to have to. You know, if you're in a race and you can't do some full effort, you know, and recover from it because you've just been sitting in all your training, it's not going to help you, because you're going to be attacked. They're going to force you to put your nose in the wind. You don't want to work, they will attack you. So the group rides are different. And that's the thing. A group ride is not a race. It is different. Now, it mimics a race, but there's less at stake. So it's a different intensity, so to speak. I hope that makes sense. It's still just play. It's not the real deal. And some people take it too seriously. So all I'm doing is, you saw that I only stood over there when we went through the intersection. I keep my gears low. I use my gears very discriminately. I treat them like seasoning, just a dash. So as they accelerate, I make sure if I'm in a gear that feels heavy, I downshift and then I spin it up. Then once I get up to speed, shift back up. But most of the time, I just find a gear that's kind of in between. So, like at this pace, let's see, 34K, I'm probably in a 53.19 because I've got like a 23 on the back. So I don't ride the 23 or the 21 when I'm on a big chain ring. I like to leave the two inner cogs alone because the chain is at an extreme angle. You know, you see somebody lifted the pace. See the gap? Got Paul's closing it. That's what I'm talking about. So I always stay in a supple gear that I can just rev up. And I was actually enjoying this pace right here. And look at that jersey, guys. That's a Pedal Mafia archive sale from the season before. look how it fits me. I'm gonna be doing a review soon because I love the fit. The problem I've had, even with Rafa, Asos, all of them, the waist is just a little loose. I wear large in Rafa. Pedal Mafia size in this one, they call it medium. It fits like a large. In addition to the fact that the waist is tight. You see the pace open again. You see the gap on Paul? If you're not in the right gear or you're not expecting it, that's when those gaps open. And you see me, I just revved the gear. Now I'm soft pedaling. The person doing it is Roy. So Barrera is annoyed. So he goes to the front and he's going to shut down the pace. I have no interest in doing that. These guys want to ride off, let them ride off. I don't care. But yeah, so he's going to slow it down. The problem is I think he goes too slow. So Abby's going to go around and lift the pace again. Then he's going to be like, okay, you guys want to go. We're slowing down too much here to 20 miles an hour. Because the week before I wasn't with them, he said they rode steadily.
He had to hold Roy.
So Paul is saying that he went the whole ride. I'm telling Paul, we weren't going that
Did you
hard.
see it?
Roy is putting his head down and digging. He's doing his intervals at the expense of the group. I've talked about it before. And so what's going to happen is he's pulling off. I don't know if he drifts back. Anyway, he will try that again in the hills to come in about probably 5 kilometers. He's going to try that again and he's going to want to rest. And I'm going to be like, you don't get the rest. You'll see. You see? Somebody picked it up again. That's why Barrera is annoyed. They're doing intervals. They're not really riding in a pace line. And this mimics what happens in a road race. And this is the reason why I don't have a problem with it. But the reason I'm stressing, I'm explaining it is, depending on what kind of group you hook up with, they may not care for this. Now most group specifically advertised that they were training for road racing competition. And so this was their way of riding. These guys see stuff on TV, they come and do it. They don't really understand the nuances of whatever else. They just do it. For me, I don't care. I get a chance to work on some leg speed because that's the way I train. I train in small gears, high cadence. So I'm spinning bigger gears, but I'm spinning them very fast. So he's doing intervals on the front. He does that all the time. That's Roy on the right. And that's fine. That's his thing. It doesn't bother me. But what I don't let them do is I don't let them rest. If I have the legs, when they decide to rest, I raise the pace. So Barrera is annoyed. He's like, let him go. And I tell him, we're only doing 19. We're doing 19 miles an hour. Yeah, we're going slow.
I'll go show you fast. But take it easy to
I was telling him, I said they're only doing 20 miles an hour. I was just rolling through the wheels. What Mike is annoyed about is the week before, the group was just steady. They worked together really well. I'm sure these guys were not there. I think a lot of the riders just don't understand what Mike was trying to do. But, I'm just following the wheels. I'm just sitting in. And Mike has a point because what ends up happening is this. No one wants to ride alone. So if we all are following these wheels, he's going to end up being the only guy who lets the group go. That's what I was doing in the winter. I'd let him go and just do my ride. I don't get to come out here during the week. I love being on these roads. But we're not going very hard. We're doing the same pace we were doing back there, 23 miles an hour, let's say. But now, that's the thing. This is another reason Barrera was annoyed. Abby did that for what? 40 seconds? It's not sustainable. If you can't do the stuff all day, sit your butt in the back and let the group be consistent. That's another do and don't. Let's see. There was a guy in the area here a long time ago. He's no longer here. His name is Victor. Mo was pulling one day on 2854, and Victor was going for some Strava segment or some nonsense like that. And he comes by barreling down the hill. Mo turned his head, looked at him, and turned back like, nothing had happened. Because it was clear that he was doing something he could not sustain. And we're coming to a traffic light. And that's what's annoying Mike, is that they're doing things and it disrupts the flow as opposed to just riding steadily. That's what he was saying. The week before, they did a steady ride. And he said that he and Mike Bradbury talked about it and planned it or whatever. So, you know, it's one of those things where I didn't tell them we were doing a steady ride. So they're just doing whatever they want to do. But I don't help them. That's the thing. I've told them many times before. You start going at a pace you can't sustain, don't turn and look for me to pull. You better sit up there till you get tired. So when we're in the mood, we just sit on them till they blow. And we just keep going. Because if you can't get back in the line, that's on you. You will see the road starts to go up here. This is a nice. This is why I like to come on this road. It's a nice gradual climb. I like to feel the hill in my legs. I hope that makes sense. I find a gear where I'm working the whole circle of the pedal stroke. So out of the corner of my eye, I see Roy. Then I see Paulie Longa. They're coming along. Paul's sitting on Roy's wheel. Roy is not going very fast right now, but in a little bit, he's going to start going faster. He likes to do intervals on these hills. Fine. As soon as Paul passes me, I get on Paul's wheel. So now we've taken the lead. I don't know who's behind me. I don't even look behind. I just sit on Paul's wheel. And what I tell myself is, let him burn all his matches, but he's not going to rest. You're going to see him try to rest in about maybe a kilometer. So he's pushing, he's riding, he looks pretty steady. And I just sit on Paul's wheel. We're just going. So the idea is, if you do something in a group, make sure you can keep it going, because there may be someone else there who can go even faster. Now, it doesn't mean they will go even faster. But if the group is doing 20 miles an hour and you raise it to 25 and they stay at 20 when you're done with your interval and you can't hold 20, you're going to be riding alone. Just be aware. So he's raised the effort significantly. My heart rate was at 171, which is 10 beats above where it's been the whole ride at the hardest points. And this is race pace for me, 170 to like 185 or something like that. Those are the numbers I've seen. I don't know what my maximum heart rate is. I don't want to find out, because I don't want my heart to stop at its maximum. You know. So at 170, I'm burning more glycogen than fat. Normally, I mean, it depends on how your body, how your training has raised your aerobic line. But at this point in the ride, I don't feel like it's very hard. I'm watching, and then the road is going to level off. And he's been doing this for a bit, at least more than a minute. And in a little bit, I'm going to see him try to soft pedal. That's because the legs are hurting. Right there, right there. As soon as I saw that, boom. No, you don't get the rest. There's no resting here. I lift the pace. So Paulie Longa is going to get on my wheel. He's on my right for a little bit, but he's going to fall back, because I'm not going to back off. The hill hasn't kicked. You see 4.7? It's going to kick in. When it kicks in, I'm going to spin up. Look at my cadence. I'm putting the hurt on him. So Paul comes around. And so it's just Paul and I. Look at our shadows. So I just go ahead and get on his wheel. So we've gapped him. So when you do your intervals in a group, be aware. You better have something left. He wanted to take a break. The legs were hurting. He was riding over his head. And that's what Mike Barrera was upset about. They're doing these things for short periods of time, disrupt the flow of the convoy, and then it's a complete mess. Then they sit up or they pull off. What's the point of that? Ride at a pace you can sustain when you're in a group that's going a long way. We're doing almost 78 miles today. So Paul checks. He says, clear. I turn. It's just Paul and I. They wanted to take a break. I'm like, no, we're not stopping. I looked in my mirror. I saw Paul, so I'm going to soft pedal till he gets on my wheel. This is why we train in the Zone 2 so-called MAF 180 minus, the 180 minus your age will give you your Zone 2 range. It's that training that allows you to stay in the high efforts and not have your legs die on you. His legs were protesting and he needed a break. So when I came by, I used high cadence on the climb, which he had nothing left to tap into. He had to stop. So you got to know when you're doing that stuff. So Paul and I are riding and we're going to hear a flat the way in the back. So we're going to pull off on a side road. I think he had a flat. There was a problem with his wheel and all that. So they took too long, so we rode to the store. We saw them later, but I hope you learned something from this. Get with a group. If you haven't ridden with them before, find out how they ride. Blend in. Don't stand out. Blend in. Assimilate yourself. Find out what they usually do. Do what they do. You will be more popular and more accepted. So I hear flat. I don't want to stop on this highway. I was ready to work. You can see. So I'm going to go ahead and I will point to the right because I heard him yell flat. There's a road up there. I like to get off these roads. I don't like to stand stationary on the highway. So they had a flat back there. So the group has split. There's just maybe 3 of us here, I think. No, 3 or 4. I think Mike Barreras is with us. I'm going to tell Paul, I say, you don't get the rest doing that interval crap.
You get to do intervals and rest. That's why I went.
Just do intervals on your own time. Anyway, I don't know what you did this weekend, but we had a blast.
Not today. My brother Abu.
Yeah, my brother from another one.
Brother from Virginia. Let me stop this.